fellow Israelites. Let's see. I'm going to show on the road here. Mãe, cadê a dona Brenda? Depois eu tenho que falar com você sobre...
Você me ligou, né?
O David Scott. Depois eu te falo. Veja sua mensagem, eu te mando.
Ok.
You have a tablet here. Okay. Well, it's a little bit overcast. Okay, let's do that. Well, if you want to sit here, we'll sit here. All right. You want to sit in front or you want to sit in the seat? Okay.
Hola.
¿Qué tal? Shabbat Shalom, buenas tardes.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom. How are you? How are you? How are
Fine.
you?
No.
Tell me, how is Roseanne?
Better.
Oh, thank God, thank God. Send her my regards, please.
I will.
And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
She'll be by in a minute.
Okay.
What you can watch for her.
I need to mute here. I need to mute me here.
Pongo mute. No estoy escuchando nada. No se escuta tua voz.
Eu sei disso. Peraí. Alô, você escuta agora?
Agora sim.
Muito bem.
Sí.
Me avisa avísame cuando hay que sacar el sonido.
Já. Thank you. Is this microphone on? Can you? Fuck. Okay, yeah, let's do it. I'm sorry? What was almost out of charge? Barely, yes. May have your old one. Oh, okay. Okay, fellow Israelites, put the show on the road, please. Oh, the fifth service tonight. Look at that. Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Stop talking. Shut up. Stop talking. So, good to see you all. Today we have even a greater crowd. I don't know what's going on in the back, but anyway. As it is our practice here, I'd like to ask anybody who, anybody has any news, anything good to share, anything you have done to make the world a better place for somebody else other than yourself. Yes, Joyce.
Well, I don't know if this is a share or a warning. They've been doing education classes for the refugee women, and of course they bring all their kids, and we provide childcare. Those are feral children. And they were supposed to provide all of the stuff kids need. They had two things. When I work with kids at the children's place, we change things that we're doing about every 10 minutes. So you go from one thing to another, to another, to another. But when you have like play and coloring, 15, kids, that doesn't last, very long. Plus, they didn't give us any food for them.
Oh,
And they had said they were going to, otherwise I would have, brought food. And it goes through through the lunch hour. The class is like 11, to 1 o'clock. And there's no food, there's no snacks. They had big things of bottled water, like little kids are interested in, in bottled water. And I had an escape from stall off, my stall off, and I had to chase the kids to the library, and oh my gosh, I came home and took a shower and a nap. So I'm not sure I'll be volunteering for that again anytime soon, except I will definitely take food and more activities. So if you sign up for that one, make sure, you don't trust them to have food and activities there for them. The end.
yeah, good. Anybody else?
It wasn't me who did it, I just supported it, but the Inflation Reduction Act that they're going to come up with Wednesday, came up with Wednesday, the Joe mentioned agreement to the employment,
Yeah.
that he finally gave in on that, that's absolutely tremendous.
Right.
It's,
We don't know about cinema yet, though. She usually copies,
yeah, and I don't think she, in this case, would hear it.
I don't know, the senators voted against giving medical care to veterans that have been subjected to.
No, but that was a retaliation.
Yeah.
For Schumer having tricked
Okay, let's.
the Republicans by passing the Computer Chip Development Act, and then an hour later announcing this, because the Republicans said they would not allow that Computer Chip Act to be passed. And so Manchin 2 weeks ago said the climate is dead, and so that's why the Republicans thought they could get away with this.
Okay, well, just back to Shabbat and stuff. We'll take care of that over dinner. Over, you can go. Normalcy and exactly. Well, he'll have some. Anyway, so nobody else has anything good or interesting to tell. We're just glad to have Nancy with us, and and plus everybody else. Oh, and we're very, very glad to have Don Edgar Mendez Lozano from Colombia back, because he was giving us a very, very bizarre tour of wherever he was in the world. He was giving a tour of somebody who doesn't know how to use his camera, because he's taking pictures like of Veneza, but of the feet of people, of the ceiling, but we love him. It's, we appreciate it nonetheless. Appreciate the thinking. So I have lots of pictures of Veneza that I'm not sure what they are, because it's
I think it's the face.
I don't know.
Can't understand a word you're saying.
That's my nature. So good. So on this happy note, we'll open the service with
Shalom Aleichem from page 6.
Turn up with the eyes.
Now we turn to page 7 in our prayer books for the kindling of Sabbath lights. Anybody wishes to volunteer? Do I have to volunteer someone? Joyce. Joyce volunteered, by the way. I didn't have to volunteer.
Let us praise our eternal God.
Page 7. Come, let us welcome Shabbat.
Oh, it wasn't 7, sorry. Okay. Come, let us welcome Shabbat. May it bring our hearts to the candles, tapers.
Lights, our lives, in our work, in our salvation.
Light is the symbol of the holiness within each of us. The human spirit is the light of God.
Light is the symbol of the Torah's teachings. The commandment is the light, and the Torah is the light.
Light is the symbol of Israel's mission. As it is written, I have made you a covenant people to serve as a light to the nations.
Therefore, the spirit of our ancient tradition that follows and unites Israel in all times and all ages, we kindle the lights of Shabbat.
These poor boxes seem bitter.
Oh. Interesting.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kashanu b'tzvotav v'tzivanu b'ner shel Shabbat. We praise the eternal God, creator of the universe, who hallows our lives through laws and ethical teachings. We are mindful of these timeless values as we kindle the lights of Shabbat.
May God bless us with Shabbat joy. May God bless us with Shabbat holiness. May God bless us with Shabbat peace. Amen. Sorry, I had a little microphone issue that I think may have solved itself, but we'll find out soon. Good. Okay, now we're good to go. We need batteries. Talking about batteries, by the way, just remember that thanks to Denise's obsessive end of the year and beginning of school year, that we have to get rid of anything in the house as if we're being evicted, and just take the necessary. So I found a really nice box for matches and an etrog box and some other Judaica that's coming to the temple. So that's due to Denise's obsessive compulsive nature. This being the 5th Sabbath of the month, we turn to the 5th Shabbat service that begins on page 96, according to my sources. The middle of the page. The synagogue is the sanctuary of Israel, born out of our longing to feel God's nearness. It has been to the Jewish people throughout our wanderings, a visible token of the presence of God in our people's midst. Its beauty is the beauty of holiness. Steadfast has stood as the champion of justice, mercy, and peace.
love is love for all people. It's God of all people, as it is said, my house shall be a house of prayer for all kings. The whole family of Israel, all who hunger for righteousness, all who seek the eternal, find God here and forever.
Come, let us sing unto God. Let us raise our voices in joy to the source of all life.
Let us come to God's presence with thanksgiving, and our voices may have enjoy this song.
Sing unto the eternal God. Let us proclaim God's guiding power from day to day. Thank you. Worship the eternal God in the beauty of holiness. Let all the earth give praise to our Creator. Let the righteous be glad in God's presence and give thanks for God's everlasting goodness. Now, turn to page. Continue with Katzikanesh. Now we turn to page 99 and we all rise for the Baruch, the invitation to prayer on page 99. Baruch et Adonai Amvorach, praise the eternal God, whom all praise is due. Baruch Adonai Amvorach leolam va'ed. Let us praise the eternal God, to whom all praise is due, now and forever. Page 100. We praise the eternal God, creator of the universe, by whose laws the shadows of evening fall and the gates of each new day are open. In wisdom, you have established a change of times and seasons and ordered the ways of the stars in their heavenly courses. You are the creator of heaven and earth, the source of all life. We praise you for the day and its work and for the night and its rest. Page 101.
This is your power, even so is your love. It may be seen through the mystery of our people Israel, the laws and ethical precepts, the statutes and ordinances, and led us in the ways of righteousness, brought us to the light. Therefore, ever lying down, never rising up, we will meditate on the Lord's teachings, finding inspiration and guidance for our daily lives. May your love and your heart and consciousness be praised God, in the creator of
Together we affirm on page 102, Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the eternal is our God, the eternal God is one. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'et. Let us praise it, rules in glory forever and ever. Maybe seated as we continue on page 103 with Ve'ahavta in Hebrew. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לעוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Continue praying responsibly on page 105. The eternal truth is that worship only one God and there is none else. Great deeds God has wrought on our behalf and wonders without number. The Eternal One was with us during the long years of oppression. Our faith sustained us, even when our people suffered the deepest anguish. May God's way guide the lives of all people and unite our hearts in friendship. Middle of page 106. Oh God, help us to find meaning in our hopes, our struggles, and our strivings. Without the sense of your presence, we would feel lost and empty. When all else fails us, we turn to you. In the stillness of the night, when the outer darkness enters the soul, in the press of the crowd, when we walk alone though yearning for companionship, and when in agony, we're bystanders of our own confusion, we look to you for hope and peace. Make us understand that we are called on not only to enjoy the richness of the earth, but to exalt in heights attained after the toil of climbing. Let our darkness be dispelled by your love, that we may rise above fear and failure, our steps sustained by faith. You give meaning to our lives, you are our support and our guide. Now we turn to page 108 as we rise for the Amida. We praise you, God of our mothers and fathers, God of Abraham, God of Sarah, God of all generations. You bestow loving kindness on all your people. You remember the devotion of those who came before us. As you guided our ancestors with love, you offer hope to us, their descendants. Your creator and helper, our guide and protector. We praise you, eternal God, shield of Abraham and help of Sarah. And then we'll continue the next page responsively. Our God and God of our fathers, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, a heritage has come down to us through the long journey our people have traveled. When others worship gods indifferent to goodness, our mothers and fathers turn to the one whose law unites all people in justice and love. In a world where the weak were tormented by oppressors, our Torah taught us to love the poor and the stranger. All this now is ours the teaching, ours the task, to make our heritage live. We continue.
Praise you, God, source of life.
Page 111. You are with us in our prayer, in our love, and even in our doubts, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, when doubts trouble us, when anxiety makes us tremble, and when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. May our worship bring us closer to one another, so that together we may be strengthened in our devotion to you.
Our God, grant that our worship and desire may be acceptable to you. Sanctify us through your precepts, help us to be satisfied with the gifts of your goodness, and grateful for all that you bestow. Purify our hearts that we can serve you, and may we preserve Shabbat as our people's heritage from generation to generation. And that it will ever bring rest in the world, peace and honor to our lives. Praise be to God, who sanctifies.
And you may be seated, please. On page 113. 113. Bless all who are gathered here. May our worship be worthy of your greatness and your love, that all who seek your presence may find it here. For the joy of community, the gifts of human diversity, and the vision of universal harmony, we offer our grateful thanks.
Bless our nation and its inhabitants. Inspire us to pursue only the voices of the message. Opportunity for all. May we labor to bring peace to the families.
Bless the entire household of our people Israel wherever we dwell. May your favor rest on the land of Israel, its diverse people and faith communities. Protect Israel against hatred and war. Grant that the promise of its rebirth soon may be fulfilled in peace and harmony. Be with us here, where we worship you in freedom. May those who continue to live under oppressive conditions soon find release and liberty. Amen. Yes, continue. 114.
We gratefully acknowledge that the eternal God is our servant, the rock of our life and the shield of our help. We thank God and sing praises to the gift of life itself, for our souls that are ever in God's keeping, for the signs and just at all times, glory to you. Truly, our blessings are without him, and God's loving kindness never ceases. Therefore, we forever put our trust in you.
Keeping with our practice, we'll turn now, prior to the silent prayer, to page 10 for the prayer of those in need of healing. Page 10. Prayer invites God's presence to lift our spirits. It allows the blessing and gift of hope to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. Shabbat, we pray for the following members of our congregation, friends and relatives of members of our congregation, in whom we share the anxiety of their illness. Nancy Stern is number 1 in the list. Gary Peschner, Marvin Aaron, Mike Herman, Wayne Owen, Martha Katz, Louise Diana Bergson, Felicia Wax, Jorge Dickerman, Anita Hampshire, Jessica Harper, Lisa Lefkowitz, and then I have a few more here. Mike Beckard on behalf of Pat, Mike Beckard, Andy Beckard, Mary Lou Beckard, Brian Beckard, Bailey Swales, and Alvin Henley.
John Christopher, Glenn Christopher, Roy Renzel, Lenore, Jane, Sarah Samuelson, Mary Ellen Wilson, Robin Slasher, Cheryl Bryant,
Anybody else?
Maria Morrow, and Dean Langford,
Definitely pray for everyone.
Francis Farah, Sarah Starnes, and Fred.
I certainly pray for everyone around the world still suffering on COVID and now with monkeypox. Okay.
But if you have your smallpox, you have 85% less chance of getting.
And I assume if you don't hang around monkeys, you get 100%. So, anyway, anybody? People in Ukraine who are, yes, suffering of bursitis. Okay, anybody online?
Felicia Bax.
I already said
Israel
that.
and, I'm sorry, Noah
Israel and Noah Bargil,
Bargil and Caroline Prusky.
Caroline Prusky. Anybody? ¿Alguien más?
Teresa Rubio.
Go ahead.
Nancy Wilson.
Anybody? ¿Alguien más en línea? No? So then we continue. We pray.
All people who have this hour are in sickness and want, or distress of body or spirit. Be in our hearts those who are here with us, in whose pain we feel pain. Let them know your help and feel your presence, realizing that they are not alone.
We pause for a moment of silent prayer, using the words our hearts may prompt us, or those found on page 116, 116. I have the tendency to be like the uncle on my big fat Greek wedding that thought everything was Greek. I can show you how everything is Jewish. The uncle in my big fat Greek wedding who said everything was Greek. I can show you how everything is Jewish. As I reflected about this and studied a little more this week, realized that even the feud between the Hatfields and the McCoys, that, by the way, it's a real thing in Kentucky, and these people are still alive, and they really look like, if you look at pictures of them, they really look like the kind of people who be engaged in a family blood feud. They really look like mountain folk, not like Springfield people. Those are fine individuals, but right, I know. But anyway, that already exists in Torah time. And that's what this Torah portion deals with, part of it. But before, as promised, tell you about death penalty, capital punishment. This is a topic that certainly divides society, divides even the Cukierkorn household, because I am invariably 100% of the time against the death penalty, always, because I'm not against extrajudicial killings. I'm not against like the Mossad going and killing people. That I'm in favor of. I'm just against them doing it like official, because that does it in my name. Like when we killed Osama bin Laden, I'm not against that. Let's make this very clear. But so maybe I could say I am ambivalent about it. I don't know. No, I certainly believe that the death penalty is applied unfairly, with poor and dark people being far more likely to receive the death penalty than rich and white people. And evidently, there are many cases where innocent people have been executed. I was watching something this afternoon on YouTube about how the police works. They go on the odds. So if they have a case, it was dealing with the JonBenet Ramsey's case, and the police decided before they went into the house, they decided the parents had killed the girl. So and then it didn't matter what happened. They only had to find the frame of mind was like this. They only had to find the proofs of what they wanted. Because it was never about investigating who killed the girl. But on the other hand, there are certain crimes who are so heinous, so horrible, that only the death penalty seems to be the only way. Maybe not to, I wouldn't say to achieve justice, but at least to sway the population and to provide, I think, a measure, in my opinion, of revenge. In all its history, in times of peace, Israel has only executed one person. Anybody knows who was? Eichmann, right? Only Eichmann. They also had to bring in a cremation device, because it didn't exist in Israel, to cremate him, to be able to then throw him in the ocean. And personally, as I said again, even in that case, I think was wrong. Also, I can speak as somebody who cares about the government's money, and people don't know that, but death penalty is infinitely more expensive than keeping people in jail forever. So that's my take on the story. You don't have to agree. You'll be given a chance to express your opinion that will be wrong if it doesn't agree with mine, but you'll still be granted that opportunity. But saying that, I certainly was not sad when Timothy McVeigh, who was responsible for the Oklahoma bombing, was executed, or when Jeffrey Dahmer was killed in prison. There are many cases going on now. Jewish tradition, many cases now that involve the death penalty. Jewish tradition is equally ambivalent about the use of the death penalty. The Torah is very clear. It demands death penalty for murder. And murder, by the way, is the only sin in Judaism that cannot be forgiven, because of the way the rules work. There's two categories of sins against God and sins against people. Sins against God, if you apologize and you're sincere, you're good. Sins against people, you can only be forgiven if the victim forgives you. And in the case of murder, evidently the person is not around anymore. So it's the one, there's one sin in Judaism that's unforgiven, is that. I think every other, even the most heinous ones, probably there will be a way to atone, but there is no atonement for murder. That was, by the way, my whole ordeal on the lecture I gave on Sunday, 2 Sundays ago, I think. So this week's Torah portion reads something very interesting, however. It says, anyone who strikes another one results is a murderer, or shall be put to death. That's 35:16. So this law, this regulation was enacted in a community where blood feuds, like the Hatfields and McCoys, were the normal. So where killing would lead to ongoing killing between families for generations. So, but at least in this case here, only the murderer was put to death, not other family members. Okay, so somebody kills your brother, you're justified going killing him, but you cannot kill his brother. That at least that is a little improvement of Torah law. Nonetheless, the rabbis in the Talmud argue about this law. It's in the Mishnah, in Makot 1, chapter 1, Mishnah 10. Any court that puts one person to death in 7 years is considered a bloody court. So it's a court that has blood in its hands if they kill people one every 7 years. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was one of the big ones, says one person in 70 years. So it's like every 3 generations. Rabbi Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva, Akiva was one of the top guys, said, if we were on the courts, nobody would ever be put to death. But they share my opinion, I share their opinion, that nobody should be put to death. But then Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said, you would cause murders to multiply in the world, implying that if people knew there was no death penalty for murder, no people would feel more tempted to murder.
I'm sorry.
He said, if you oppose every death penalty, you would cause murders to multiply in the world. That was Shimon ben Gamliel. And Shimon Gamliel was a Bush, was one of those that are always in power, and father, son, grandson, everybody becomes, they're all machers. One of the big ruling dynasties, the family of Ben Gamliel. Now, what if a death is accidental? Is the difference between murder and manslaughter? It's funny because I tried to explain that in Portuguese and I don't know the words for that in Portuguese, but I know, or in Spanish, which I'll have to do tomorrow. Maybe they'll help me. But, what is involuntary manslaughter rather than murder? What if someone kills someone through being negligent, but not with premeditation? Murder implies premeditation or a strict desire to kill, right? In the days of family blood feuds, even involuntary homicide, manslaughter, could lead to revenge killings. So based on this, the Torah established cities of refuge, and I spoke about it last week, could be and be saved from revenge. So it says here, I'll read for you, Numbers 35:25. The assembly shall protect the killer from the blood avenger, and the assembly shall restore him to the city of refuge to which he fled, and there he shall remain until the death of the high priest. It's very weird. Okay, let me try to spread it here. Let me find my text again. So again, in this series of refuge, the killer could flee and be saved from the revenge of the family of somebody he killed involuntarily. They're forbidden of entering these cities of refuge, and those are places of safety. And how long did the person that kills someone accidentally have to remain in the city of refuge? The Torah gives this very strange answer: until the death of the high priest. what does the Kohen Gadol, what does the poor high priest has to do with all this shebang? So he or she must remain in this city until the Kohen Gadol. Only after the death of the high priest could he or she leave the city of refuge and return home. And at that point, the family of the person he killed involuntarily cannot kill him. They don't have that right. Okay, and it's very interesting because the Midrash paints an interesting picture of the mother of the high priest knitting clothing for the people living in the city of refuge, so they would think kindly of her and don't pray for her son to die. Well, remind me someday. I'll explain to you, because a very important question is: does it work to pray for somebody to die? That's another sermon. Well, in fact, yes. According to the Talmud, yes. So we'll get to that. Not tonight. The Torah seems to be saying that when there is an untimely death, even if it's an accidental death, on some spiritual level, the world is out of balance by this event, and only the death of the high priest can bring the world back to balance. So at the end, what the Torah is saying is that a death must be atoned by another death. Even it's not that person, you get the idea. The Torah sees human life as infinitely precious and valuable. To take a life, whether deliberately or by negligence, sets the world out of balance. Death of the murderer or the high priest serves somehow as an atonement, putting the world back in balance. Sometimes applying ancient ideas of the Torah to the modern world is not that easy, not that easy, but because we no longer have cities of refuge, we do, however, allow for life in prison without the possibility of parole. Perhaps that is the best punishment for those who have no respect for human life. But sometimes, I'm sure for some people it's not enough. Perhaps there are times when people feel that capital punishment is the appropriate way to punish a murderer. That's it. Shabbat Shalom. Questions, complaints, remarks? Yes, ma'am.
So if the death of the high priest frees a murderer or manslaughter committer from the city of refuge.
Yeah.
So the death of the high priest then could clear out the city of refuge, because everybody is in there.
Well, some priests live there.
Is it the high priest that, imposes a penalty on them? Is that what they have to do with it? What's the point?
I think the death of the high priest is a national tragedy. So a national tragedy unites everybody in a sense of tragedy. It's not only now my personal tragedy because my cousin was killed by somebody, but now we are all mourning. Imagine if Oprah Winfrey dies. It's a national tragedy, or some wherever. You get the idea, right? Or Angelina Jolie, or something. That's national tragedy. So I think is the but somehow there's something again that in spite of my feelings that you don't need to kill people who kill you, can punish them. The Torah is saying that somehow you need another death to make this right. And yes, the city of refuge were small city. I don't know how many there are. I think half a dozen. I have to search. And they were mostly places where priests live. And their job was to keep these people safe. Maybe there are 3. I have to check. I don't remember.
So if the only reason someone could be put to death is because they killed somebody else, what about?
No, they could be put for death for other things as well.
Yeah, I was going to say there are those things where you get stoned if you did it.
Right. Yes. Answering to your parents. Replying not nicely to your parents, or incest.
Yesterday, a man who'd been on death row for nearly 30 years, and the children of the woman that he murdered, there's no questioning murder. that lived that saw it. They were 3 and 6 years old at the time, and they asked that he not be put to death, that he, remain in prison for the rest of his life. I think for some people it would be, if you're feeling vengeful, I think that if you put somebody in prison for the rest of their life, no chance of ever being free again.
It's much worse.
Or seeing the light of day, that'd be worse than death.
Sure.
Death would be a blessing. Be free of
Right.
it.
Right. Well, the other thing is, I think I have to think a little more, but my gut feeling is that unlike our modern system, that when you kill somebody in ancient Israel, the crime that you committed was against the family of the person. And in modern society, when you kill somebody, the crime that you commit is against the state. Not so the family doesn't have the right to, family doesn't have the right to forgive people. Right. I mean, maybe they are hurt.
It's we speak about not killing people, and then we turn around and kill people in my name.
Right. That's
state.
right.
How can you tell children it's wrong to kill when we kill people?
That's my take, right? If it's wrong to kill, it's wrong to kill everybody. That's my take. If it's wrong to kill, it's even wrong to kill Eichmann. But that's me.
But you keep referring to this extrajudicial killing business as your aside.
Well, like the Munich massacre 50 years ago, and they hunted all those people down,
Yeah.
killed them,
Oh, right. And that is approved. However, we know the flip side of that story, however, is that it's the only time, Israel never there's only one time that Israel the Mossad admitted to killing somebody, and was in Montevideo, Uruguay. But it was a guy by the name of Cukierkorn. But anyway, the only time the Mossad has ever paid somebody, at least officially, is that as a result of this hunt for the Munich massacre, they killed a waiter in a town called Lillehammer in Norway, and was the wrong guy. It's the only time that.
That's the thing about killing people, is it's very permanent. You can't.
Correct. Correct. But
so many people have been executed.
But my take is, and that's, I guess, we have somebody who may be close to that concept. If intelligence services feel that by killing somebody you prevent him from killing others, then there is a justification, not only in our common morality, but in Judaism as well. Because it's called a rodef, a pursuer.
In research, the cities and the states that have, do the death penalty, they actually have a higher rate of homicide than the ones that don't.
Really?
That used to be true. I haven't checked into it in a long time, but that's what I remember from social studies.
So you think that the extrajudicial killing of the American journalist in Gaza?
I don't know about that case. I know about Osama bin Laden, for instance. I don't think it was a bad idea.
Right. And so the
And
question.
she had it on protective gear.
And
So
the
they shot her
sign
in the
that
head.
said she was pressed.
She was pressed.
And the press.
I'm not playing you. I swear. I just don't know the case. So I just, the problem is, again, is, as I said, Israel has never killed anybody in times of peace. There is a non-declared war in Gaza. So I think it's a different ballgame.
Or gets interpreted as rigorous.
But again, I agree with you that, it's cheaper to keep people alive, in jail for a long time. And I agree with you on whatever proposition number it is, John. Count your blessings. We discussed anybody online. Yeah, Pam.
Well, I have a situation that happened in my family. I don't know if anybody remembers who Cookie Williams was. He founded the Crips. And he was in prison awaiting execution for, they had definite proof that he had killed these 3 people. 2 people were Chinese people who worked in a Chinese laundry, and one was my brother-in-law. And when it was a big deal in the news, my husband had a lot of people asking him his opinion, including Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was the governor of California at that point. And so one time I got a phone call from London from some reporter there that wanted to write a story about how did the family feel about executing the employees. I had always thought that Wayne and I agreed on things, many things. But they asked him to write a letter to Schwarzenegger supporting or not supporting this execution. Because of who we were and who Wayne was in relation to the case, we got information that other regular folks didn't get. Part of that was that Tookie Williams had absolutely said with no qualms that his first goal was to escape the death. And then the next goal was to get parole. And if he got parole, then he would go back to running the Brits. No denial there. We got that from the guards at the prison. Wayne felt that if he got out, that it would just lead to more killings, more deaths, and more of that. So he supported the execution. I did. In fact, he wrote the letter and I would take it to the mailbox for him. If he wanted him executed, then he could take the letter to the mailbox himself. The upshot of it all was that they did execute him. But it made me wonder, in light of what you said today, if you support execution, if you support killing that person who is going to keep on killing and killing and killing, if there is some justification.
Well, it just depends what your aim is. Is your aim to prevent killing? Don't let him out.
Right.
All right. I mean, it's pretty simple.
You know, and I guess, and I'm thinking so, because even though I try to make it sound like I'm ignoring John, I really don't. Okay, I just make it believe, so hoping he goes away. But, but what I have to say, that the idea of, first of all, I agree that the way to keep people going, keep him in jail forever. That's easy. Second is the idea of supporting non-judicial killings is the modern version of family blood feuds. When Israel kills somebody, some terrorists in Gaza, that person may not be exactly my brother, but deep down we're brothers, and the reason why he's doing it is for that reason. That's my only other thought on that.
Another way of punishing seems like all crimes that go into terror, the person's families, homes, any relatives that lose their
right.
homes are bulldozed. So
right, that's a problem.
Ways that they punish the person by punishing the whole family.
Right, it is a problem, no question. Anybody else? I'm carrying a word from the back that I should move on. Anybody online has anything to say? Otherwise, we'll say tomorrow. Unless you are, I know we had some of our members here who's not going to be in the service tomorrow in Mexico. Who was it? Summer. Summer has a lot to say about that because she does that for a business, for a living. She's with us online. Hello, Summer, even though you're not showing your face. Maybe she just have the computer on and she's sleeping. Okay, anyway, we will continue now. Do you have any opinion on the subject? No. Okay, oh, she's here, looking gorgeous as always. And I think she's Shabbat, so she doesn't want to work and talk about the subject. So, good. We'll continue on page 368 with the adoration. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו. Let us adore the ever-living God. We offer praise unto you. Spread the heavens and establish the earth. Your glory is revealed in the heavens above, and your greatness is manifest throughout the world. God, there is none else. We bow our heads in reverence before the eternal one, source of all life. Continue. Made.
You shall be worshipped throughout the earth, but unbelief shall disappear and turn to Fervently we pray that the day may come when all people shall be guided by their cease. Corruption and evil shall give way to purity and goodness. Superstition shall not once and slay behind, but idolatry behind. Then all the well shall know that to you alone every knee shall bend, and every voice give praise. May all who created in your image recognize that we are brothers and sisters. So that one spirit and one harmony for everybody before you. And then it shall be raised to spiritual honor. The word of grace God will be fulfilled. The eternal God will reign forever and ever.
On that day, the eternal shall be one, and God's name shall be one. Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, the 6 million who perished in the Shoah, and those of every race, nation, and faith whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. Is anybody observing a Shiva, 7-day mourning period? So I remember everyone dying in the conflict in Ukraine, as well as the victims around the world still of COVID. Anybody has a yortzeit? No? Anybody has a Shloshim, a 30-day mourning period? As far as yortzeits go, Temple Israel remembers the following. Irvin Stern, who's Nancy's father, and Mary Lou Cordero, who is Yvonne's sister, Emily Lindsay, I don't know who she's related to, and Anna Sabera, I believe, is an aunt to Anita. No, Anna Sabera. Maybe it's an aunt of Miss Dalton, aunt of somebody. But we remember her nonetheless. Anybody else has a yortzeit? The departed whom we now remember have entered into the peace of life eternal. They still live on earth in the acts of goodness they perform in the hearts of those who cherish their memory. May the beauty of their lives abide among us a loving benediction. And now, as a community of mourners, we turn to page 375, and we join in the ancient words of the Kaddish. Itkadal ve'itkada shemei rabba, ve'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, bechai echon u'viyom echon, uvechaye dechol beit Israel, ba'agala uvizman kari ve'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Itbarach ve'ishtabach ve'itpa'ar ve'itromam ve'itnaseh. Veitadar, veitale, veitalal, shmei de kucha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata ve'shirata, tushbechata ve'nechemata, Damiram Belma Veimru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Israel Veimru Amen. Osei Shalom Bimromav Uyase Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Israel Veimru Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn, comfort all who are bereaved among us, and let us say Amen. You can sit in, and we do have a donation. Memory Irving, done by Nancy. Thank you, Nancy. I don't recall any other donations. Do you? I want to thank Theo for the music. Good job as always. You should consider doing this professionally someday. And what else I have for you? I have some stuff for you here. The KC Jewish Film Festival begins this weekend on Sunday at 2 p.m. They have Golda, and at 5 p.m. the raft. And there'll be a reception and blah, blah, blah. And then there's some other interesting films. I am not sure, because I may have to go to Leavenworth. Yeah, I'm telling myself here.
There's the last one is the one with Ed Ascot.
Right, that one's before.
You know, bio on that, it looks like it would be really uplifting.
I mean, I think every film is done twice.
One will be at 2 o'clock, one will be at 7 o'clock. Each of them.
Yeah.
You know, on the days. Two, I want to see
So,
the first one and the last one. Because I'm going to skip all the Holocaust ones this time. You know,
You can never have too much
Holocaust, you know.
right. Well, there are some interesting Holocaust movies.
There's the Nazi, the one about.
There's a good Nazi about capital of Lithuania. There's a guy in Vilna, and then there's the one about the more interesting for me is the one on the Avengers. But anyway, anybody else? And then I think, when do we have a board meeting?
The second Wednesday of the month.
So we have some time. Yeah, okay, and we're gonna have a potluck. It's gonna be a dinner sponsored by and cooked by Pam.
And gratitude for food. People will be encouraged to make small donations to the food bank.
No big donations.
And what are we? Chop liver, make a donation to the temple. Anyway, okay, we'll conclude with Osei Shalom 429. I'm sorry. I prefer to be unintelligible. Okay, good. We have a lifetime supply. I just have the wrong car. Good. And in concluding our service, I ask God's blessings upon us. May God bless us and keep us. May God look kindly on us and ever be gracious to us. May God show us tenderness and give us shalom peace. Shabbat shalom. Now we may engage in the traditional Temple Israel knife fight over.
Yeah, I hear you went to my restaurant while I was not here. You're supposed to go to ABC when I'm not here.
We did that once.
Does ABC, what do you think of, or do I go in there?
So, I mean, we could go to, I can give you some suggestions. We could go to the Yuva Eats that we've been talking about. We could go to the salad, the crushed red. I could crush red. Or we could keep talking about going to the Olive Garden. That's it. Shabbat Shalom, folks.
Yeah, we'll put him back there.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, well, we'll bring him.
I will.
Yeah,
I have that. I just don't have, I don't have the
just
car.
bring him.
I don't have the
A
car.
shitload, a shitload.
I have it.
A
I have it.
shitload.
I have how many you want? 20?
Okay.
I can give you 20. Okay, Shabbat Shalom, people. Come back. Bye.